it's a great honour and privilege to have you on the programme. This is a very important race you are now involved in, isn't it? Your foundation, the Race Against Dementia, and obviously, you know, motivated by what has happened to your wife and is happening to increasing numbers of people. How important is it for you to put money into finding treatments and potentially even a cure for dementia?
Well, it's certainly the greatest challenge I've ever attempted to make. It's badly needed. There's a huge number of people in the world, over 50 million people in the world with dementia right now. There's 850,000 in the United Kingdom with no cure and no preventive medicine. We have to change that. You know, you referred to my motor racing safety campaign. We certainly revolutionised that from many, many deaths to today huge accidents and drivers are walking away from big crashes. Now, I want to change the medical world into being able to create research, development and, of course, results to get dementia cleared up. Now, it is a global problem. It's underfunded at the present time. For example, for cancer, there are 4 young PhDs working on that to every 1 for dementia, and yet more people are dying from dementia than cancer. So it's an educational thing for the world of medicine to move on to another great epidemic. So from my point of view, because of Helen, you know, she was my timekeeper, my lat charter. We've been married for 57 years. To see her going through the pain of dementia and that affecting our whole family, not to mention the millions of other people with it, I feel certainly we've got to change that and we've got to move forward.
So Jackie, you mentioned Lady Helen there. We had a very moving interview with Vinnie Jones yesterday about the loss of his wife to cancer in her 40s and the terrible grief he's feeling after all this time together. Yours is a very different kind of loss because Helen is still there and yet she's not the woman that you are used to being with, in the sense that her memory is not what it was. Her short-term memories...
The memory is something we can handle very easily. But the suffering for a dementia patient, and more importantly, looking after a dementia patient by a family, is the biggest challenge of all. People have had to give up their work to look after their parents. It's a serious problem. And nowadays, it's getting to younger people. There was somebody found with 39 years of age to have dementia, quite a few that have been found in the 50s now. It used to be only older people. That's changing. But the cost of keeping a dementia patient is considerably less. It's twice as expensive to look after a dementia patient than that of personal illness of cancer and heart disease, for example. So I had the Minister of Health the other day down at the McLaren factory because we're using Formula One with Red Bull and McLaren, who are very clever at finding fast results to big problems. And we need, I think, to look at new ways of doing business in order to see this come alight. Because in those past 30 years, however much has been put into it, we haven't had results. There are no cures right now, and that's what I want to change.
You have identified that in Formula One, when there's a problem, you know, huge resources putting in to fix it very quickly. And yet, when you have something on the scale of dementia, then those resources don't seem to be there and the problem doesn't seem to be getting fixed.
Well, certainly, even in the NHS in our country, in the UK, you don't have enough money to be able to care for the dementias, the dementia patient, not only in hospitals, but also at the homes. So therefore, we've got a major problem with it, and we've got to face that. I'm trying to fund PhDs, for example. We've only got 3 at the moment. We're going to have 5 very shortly. Young PhDs coming in, a new generation. I want them to be thinking differently. And that's why we're using motorsport as an example of problem solving in a faster fashion. So we've been very much helped by Alzheimer's UK, for example, in finding those 3 or 4 or 5 young PhDs that we have. But it's hugely expensive. It costs about 150,000 to be able to keep a PhD operational for 1 year, and you've got to sign them up for 5 years and pay the money of the 5 years before you can start with the PhD. So it's a very expensive program. It has to be looked after. It's a global issue. But here in the United Kingdom, as we are speaking at the present time, we've got to change our way of doing business. And I've found that youth can do that. In motor racing, it was relatively easy because we were all young people, a lot of energy and push forward. The racetrack owners changed their way of thinking and got things done. The medical facilities that we had in Formula One revolutionised itself. And of course, now we've got very, very few fatalities. So I have a strong belief that there are no problems, there are only solutions. We've got to find those solutions. We've got great skills in the United Kingdom and around the world because this is a global charity we have. Yep. We're getting people from all over the place. One of our PhDs is currently in Florida. Because that's where this PhD thought she could get the most support and the most future thinking. And we've got 1 up in Scotland and 1 down south.
So, Jackie, what you're doing is remarkable, completely worth it. We're all behind you. If anyone can get this sorted and get some real action done, it'll be somebody like you. We wish you all the very best with it and send all our very best to your family too, please.
Well, it's a big challenge, but it's a global challenge. It's a British challenge. It's both political and, of course, it's getting technology. And, of course, the medical facilities in this country and in Britain are very good. But I'm afraid we're going to have to move forward faster than we have in the past.
We are. So, Jackie, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We appreciate it.